No box breaker or pack openings today, I'm afraid, but instead I do want to share with you all a very personal and emotional story. And one that is also TCG related though. And for that, I have one card here on the table with me. The Tri-Hunt Dragon for the YuGiOh TCG Legend of Blue Eyes set. Now for those of you who don't know, the Legend of Blue Eyes was the very first set to ever be printed and released in the YuGiOh TCG. And the first few sets, they also were released all over the world, but in different parts of the world. Meaning that you would have a North America version, a European version, Asian English version, as well as an Australian version. Now the Tri-Hunt Dragon from this set, from the Legend of Blue Eyes, as the name suggests, Legend of Blue Eyes, it had cards such as the Blue Eyes, Dark Magician, Red Eyes, Gaia, you know, those cards that we knew and saw in the anime, so fan favorites. And even today, like more than 20 years later, they're still fan favorites, and Dark Magician and Blue Eyes are still some of the most popular decks that get played. So this card, it kind of got forgotten over the years. But for me, it always had a very special place in my heart for the emotional value that it had. Because when I was a small boy, and Yu-Gi-Oh was booming, you know, all my friends were playing it, people in school were trading cards, playing the game, collecting them, buying packs, you know how it goes. My very first pack that I gotten was Legend of Blue Eyes as well. And what card did I pull in that pack, you wonder? Yeah, the Tri-Hunt Dragon. So in my very first pack, I pulled the secret rare of that set as well. Now, of course, I was a child. I had no idea on value. I didn't care about it. I just thought, oh, this is a cool ass card. And I mean, look at him. It's such a cool card. You have them and look at him. So yeah, as a child, I didn't sleeve it because I didn't even know it existed. You kind of shuffle it around in your deck. You know, you play with it. Long story short, it was really, really beaten up. But the reason why I always loved it, besides it being such a cool card, was because the very first pack that I got was given to me by my grandfather. Now, I grew up without a father, and my grandpa and I, we were very close growing up. So he was kind of like my father figure. So that very first pack that he gave me, having this card in there, it had a lot more value to me emotional wise than the money that it ever could buy, or the money that was ever worth. Even though it wasn't the Blue Eyes or the Dark Magician, it was the Tri-Hunt Dragon that I kind of got from my grandfather. A little bit like Yugi in the anime getting cards from his grandfather. You know, you can kind of compare it like that, and they were very precious to him as well, and so was this card to me, because I got that one from that very first pack that my grandfather gave me. And one day, unfortunately, it got stolen at school on the playground. So, yeah, that really sucked. And I always missed that card. I wish I still had it in my collection. Even if it was beaten up, I would cherish it. But over the years, you know, as a teenager, I kind of stopped collecting cards. And then, being in my 20s, I started collecting again. And I bought the Tri-Hunt Dragon again at the time. But it was from a different set. It was a reprint from a later set. So I didn't really care about it that much. I was like, it's not the same. You know, I didn't have the same emotional value or that same nostalgic feeling behind it. So I was looking for this card for a very, very long time. And the reason why I got it as a PSA slab is because I wanted to be graded. I wanted that memory to be sort of sealed forever and be secure, if that makes any sense. Now, this right here, this is, let me zoom in, indeed, the first edition European version. So, and that was very, very important to me. It had to be the European version because that was the one that I got as a child, because I myself am from Belgium, which is in Europe. So that first pack was the European version, and that Tri-Hunt Dragon was also the European version for that reason, and the first edition version as well. So, yeah, I've been looking for this one for a very, very long time. And even though it's just an 8, I'm more than happy with it, because I found out there's only 4 higher grades of this exact card. So finding one is going to be very tricky as a PSA 10, which is what I meant to do first. But, you know, it's okay for now. You know, it will still be on my list. But for now, having this one, I mean, look at him. He looks so damn cool. Look at that card. Look at this dragon. He is so amazing. Because this one is actually the very first, the OG print of that card. It's not a reprint that we got in 2010s, the Legend of Blue Eyes and a couple of other old sets. They got a reprint, and some of them are very hard to distinguish. So it took a very, very long time to find this original copy, because even PSA sometimes I saw on eBay mislabels them as the original version whilst they're actually the reprint version, because some of them are very hard to distinguish from one another. So yeah, it took a very long time to find it, especially because the European version, well, the North America version, of course, is the most famous one, the most sought after. It also has a higher value to it, higher price tag. But I needed the European version because I wanted it to be as close as original as it could be, to that nostalgic moment, to have it as close as that card that my grandfather gave me at the time, you know. So yeah, I'm more than pleased to have this one, even though perhaps it's just an 8. You know, an 8 is still a very nice grade, don't get me wrong. But I'm more than happy to finally have it. And you know, the only reason I think this is an 8 is because of the corners in the back. They're a bit scuffed, as you can see, so there's some whitening there. You can also sort of see it on the front a little bit. So yeah, the corners aren't perfect, but that's really the only thing that I can tell would be wrong with the card for it not to have a higher grade. But it doesn't even matter to me, you know. I'm just happy to finally have this card, and in a very nice, it's in near mint condition, let's be honest, which is what I wanted. I wanted it the best one to be that I could possibly find, and the 8 one is the best one that I could find right now, just to kind of keep my grandfather in mind and to commemorate him in a certain way, which to a lot of people maybe sounds very, very weird, to remember my grandfather by a card, because he passed away right now, like almost 10 years ago. And at the time I was in such a dark place in my own body and in my own life because of all the medical issues that I was going through, which you may or may not know depending on how long you've been following this channel or my other channels. So when he passed away, I didn't get to say what he meant to me and what he's done for me, and how much I actually cared about him and how much I loved him, because at the time I was just so lost in my own world and my own misery and pain that it felt normal to me in a certain way to lose something else that I loved, because that's what I felt like, because I had to give up a lot of things due to my medical condition. And 10 years later, even up to today, I for instance, am able to work and stuff like that for all of that reasons. So it felt like part of life at that time that I would lose both my grandparents, because my grandma passed away a year before him. So yeah, it just felt very unrealistic, and it is a thing that I, up to today, really do regret not having told him what he actually meant to me. And I wish I could have changed it. I wish I could go back in time and tell him. But, well, we can't, unfortunately. So, yeah, I think this is one of the reasons to in my own way, to remember him and to remember that memory, one of the memories growing up with him and the things that he did do for me. So, yeah, there we go. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. And, you know, just stay safe. And the people that you do love, let them know, okay? Let them know how much they care, how much you care for them, and what they mean to you. That's all that I want to add to this video. So, there you go. Thank you for watching, and we will see each other very soon. Take care. Bye-bye!